Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Good afternoon. Hope you're enjoying so far the sessions. It was really exciting. I was learning all coming through GenAI and ChatGPT was not. I would like to ask you this question to start with. What do you think is overrated in the summer? This is summertime, right? What activities you can think of is overrated? I can tell you. Watering the lawn grass. It is really overrated. I can share a story from yesterday. When I was dying, I was watering the grass lawn. I was listening a podcast from one of the founder from Databricks. And Databricks, you probably all know about them. They're like machine for data and AI. The foundation is the data and AI. And those founder was talking about, hey, we as a data and AI company, everyone was talking like 10 years back or 5 years back is the data part. And now AI is so much focused, everyone started talking about the AI part. However, to have this AI leveraged, you need to have your data part fixed. So it means whenever it's come AI, people are talking about the AI, they also need to look at the data part. So what I'm going to talk about today is related to data, is the data platform. So I work with a pension fund company called OMERS, where we have self-serve data platform. And what I learned through this project or product, whatever you call, last 2 years, I would like to share. And I would like to share my learning, what the pros and cons, and I would love to have both a conversational kind of here. So if you have any question or anything, you can ask me. So you can go both way. Okay, my most favorite slide for the session is about myself. I've been working in this industry more than 14 years. My heart is close to the community. I've been working for the community for a long time. I lead one of the largest data professional community in Toronto called Toronto Data Professional Community. We have events all around the year. Also, I do public speaking, I do write technical blog, and all this together, I got the very prestigious award from Microsoft in 2022 called Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. At that era, I was one of the 12 in Canada. When it's come to my family, I got 2 kids and beautiful wife, of course. And I'm a big promoter of sustainable living. Before I move into agenda, well, by the way, this picture is not generated by AI. This is taken by my mobile. It's one of our property. We have 2 identity, OMERS and Oxford. Oxford maintain a lot of property in whole Canada, also outside Canada, different countries. It's one of the beautiful property they have in Jasper. Before moving into agenda, I would like to ask you a question. How many of you work with data platform, data warehouse, or BI? Wow, great. It's a great audience here. The next question I would like to ask you, how many of you actually using smartphone? Well, probably it's a silly question, right? So thinking, okay, it's a joke. No, the reason is I'm asking, in your mobile or smartphone, you may have many applications. Some of the application or apps you use for your commuting purposes, like your Google Maps or Waze. Some of the application you may have for your social media. You could have LinkedIn, you could have Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And some cases you also have the banking application, like CIBC, RBC, or any bank you work with. Very similarly, consider your organization have many applications to run that in organizations, just day-to operation, right? I can tell you in our organization as OMERS, we have hundreds of applications. Now, since I mentioned about the banking application you have in apps, if I ask you the second question, what is your monthly surplus? I'm not asking you. I don't want that private question to be answered. But however, it is easy for you as a person to get that number. Either you maintain Excel, or you just go to the banking application, you have all the information there. What is the income can get in, what the expenses you have through or the credit card. It is very straightforward, easy. But guess what? Is it that easy for any organization you go and ask for? What is your surplus or what is the profit you made? Forget about the month. Probably they're gonna only have that quarterly. And to get that, they have to go through many applications. Giving an example again to our organization as OMERS, we collect the pension fund from the members, means that's the income. They pay our salary. So HR may have, or not may, have their system where they'll pay out. We also invest. There is investment platform, and so on. So to get that simple question answer, any organization, forget about the OMERS or any organization, they have to go through many applications, get the data one place, combine this data, blend those data, and then you get the answer. And that is the purpose of a data platform. So people probably think, what is data platform? What is data engineering? I'll become getting there, but that is the purpose of data platform. So my first point, what is data platform? You already get there. Then I'm going to talk about data engineering roles and responsibility. I don't know how many of you know about data engineering, so I'm just going to touch base a little bit about that. And then we got self-serve analytics. Though I'll be mostly talk about data engineering as a self-serve analytics. However, the self-serve analytics was there before, but data engineering as a self-serve was not there before. So I'll be talking mostly in there, that part. And also I'm going to share what the opportunity we have and the challenges since we implemented that in our organization. How many of you have this return to office dashboard? This is pretty, maybe our most favorite dashboard. Well, wink, wink. We don't like to come to office, right? But however, to find that who is coming to office, who is not coming, because many organizations may have that mandate, you need to come 2 to 3 days in the office. And maybe some people like it. I know you like it, but I don't want to come more than 2 to 3 days. But organizations need to know who is coming and not. It means they are collecting your IDs data. When you're scanning, you get the data. And also you need to have that to have this dashboard. You also need to have the data from HR system, because that's where you have more details about the employee. And the second one is the very important one is financial analytics, planning analytics data. Any organization, when they do plan, they would like to know, or they're going to put all this data in the planning system. They can get the insight from these tools. Also, they can have actually traceability between budget with the GL item, also the actuals. And see, to get even this type of dashboard or insights, in our organization, we had to go through all these different source systems. So Anaplan, where you do have all the planning or budget, and Workday, you get the data for employee, and this is the actual where what happening through this budget or all the expenses goes there. Have this as I mentioned, these 2 items, as you can see, those are data products. To build those data products, you need to combine this data. So I'm going to talk about now why data platform. So of course, you need to have the blending data from different sources, as you just see these 2 examples I just shared. And then, whenever you do analytics, it requires history. It means you have to have not only the current data, also need to have the historical data, maybe 5 years or 10 years, or at least 3 to 4 years. And we closely, as a data engineering team, we closely work with our BI friends, means the BI who develop Power BI dashboard. If you are here who building Power BI dashboard, you probably know you need that really clean data. So those are the things data platform does, making sure the data is clean, the data is transformed, and the performance. Who are here actually go and wait more than few seconds, 3 or 4 seconds to load your dashboard? No one. Earlier days, probably people would be waiting. Nowadays, no, I'll not wait. If something is slower, we're just going to go and complain to the BI team, hey, it's not really perform well. So that is data platform job to make sure the way you push the data, put the data is performed well. And lastly, of course, the data, when you have through the data you provide through the data platform, it's widely available through the organization. Now you know what is data platform and why data platform exists. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I also would like to introduce what data engineers roles. So in your organization, you have raw data. It could be anything that's in the on-prem, it could be in the cloud, it could be in your email attachment, it could be in Excel surrounding in your computer. And out of all the data, what you actually would like to do? You'd like to have actionable insights. You'd like to build a dashboard. And where actually the data engineer fits between two. To getting the data from your source, all this raw data, making this actionable insight is the job of data engineers. If you still didn't get it, I have another analogy to understand what data engineer does, which is exactly like as a plumbers. When you build your home, and plumber plays a big role to have the water pipeline getting from your washroom to the kitchen or everywhere around. It means they build that pipeline. We as a data engineer, we also build that pipeline to get the data from different sources. And guess what next? If there is any leak in the pipeline, you must be in trouble. You call the plumber to fix it. We do the same things. Anything that have an issue with the pipeline, data is not correct, we're there to fix it. So that's about the data engineering. And next one, I would like to introduce what are the roles or persona involved in the data platform. Those are all very important. The Diago, the data dazzler. Data dazzler is nothing but our Power BI friend. Also, you'll find many organizations in a smaller team, they use Python code to analyze some of the data. They have their own IDE. Those are also part of the data dazzler. They'll just explore the data, and then whenever they wanted to have enterprise-grade solution, they're going to come to the right team to productionize that solution. And the Danny, the data engineer, you already know, I explained what they do. And the data scientist, of course, they build the machine learning model and training the data. Those their responsibility. And eventually, the last one is the business user who consume those data products you build. Okay. I'm sure that you already know about the self-serve analytics, but I'm going to just explain. After Power BI came or Tableau in the market, I'm sure you already know how they empower in the organization. The people who are non-technical user, they have probably Excel around, or they have some of the data, or they have access to their own data. They would like to build something. They didn't have to come to the IT team. They're able to do themselves. And that really produce greater value for the organization. You can have the faster insight because you are not always dependent on those IT people. They will build the dashboard, then you're gonna use it. And similarly, at same concept, I'm gonna just go into the main topics I'm going to talk about, which is the data platform or data engineering as a self-service. Similarly, how the people, non-technical people, they use or build the dashboard and have those insight. When Power BI came, now when the data engineering concept came in, that's how it all started. Because when this data engineering things or people talking about the data platform, 2 years back, when we started building our modern data platform, we adopted data mesh concept. How many of you know about the data mesh? Do you know? Okay, good, few of you. So those are the main component of the data mesh principle, but I'll not go deeper into it, but I'll share my experience. I started my work 14 years back in a data warehouse, sorry, in a banking industry in Denmark. Whole of my experience is actually from Denmark, outside Canada, last 5 years. So I was working in a data warehouse team, which is big, more than 100 people in the data warehouse team. Think about how big that company is. And it was all centralized, means if anyone in that part of the organization need any insight or any dashboard or any product they need to build, they have to come to us. And those are more centralized. It is always like there before data mesh concept came into 2019. So now those are so much challenges because those people who work in the data warehouse team, they don't understand that business. They're not sitting close to the business. And that's the reason when data mesh concept came, they said, no, we cannot have the central data team. It has to be federated. It means you sit close to the business. And it becomes so popular, and we adopted this principle when we build our data platform. And one of the main concepts that closely go with these topics today is self-serve data platform. So that's how all it started when we started our self-serve data engineering capability or self-serve data platform. So the next step, since we started saying, okay, we're gonna have the self-serve data platform, but we have to find out who will be those people that we can bring in and work together. We picked our BI developer at the first. As you see on the right-hand side, as a data engineer, they do data acquisition, they do storage management, transformation, integration, whatever. You can read the list. So we said, we team up with our BI team and saying, okay, maybe we can take one person to our team and start some of the work, what we do. They can start those work. For example, data acquisition is simple. They can just get those data and explore it. And then they can also do some kind of ETL or ELT. So that's how we started at the beginning. It means I would like to also deep dive into our platform, what we use. Then you understand what the challenges we faced, and then how we overcome with that, and then I will also explain that. In general, as you see, those, I don't know if you figure this out, it's more about your storage. It's a data lake. This is a ETL tool, it's the ADF. It could be any ETL tool you can think of, and SQL, and this is the Python. And also, top of it, you must need to have any kind of DevOps repository. We use Git. It's a must. You need to have Git if you want to have self-serve data platform. And you need to have the standard, development standard. You need to have the documentation, naming standard, and coding pattern, for example, when you do like type 2, type 3 dimension. And also relationship between fact and dimension, how we're going to do it, all these things should be there. Oh, sorry. So consider this is our technical landscape. And we said, okay, one person from our BI team, let's work together. We gave them saying, okay, you can build the ETL pipeline. You can do this stuff like simpler naming, change the name of the table or column, adding new column. Those are things we started working together. However, it didn't go that well. The reason is it's the same workspace where we as the data engineer works, also we brought in some other technical skill set. They're working mostly in the Power BI. Why it didn't go well? It's like I use this analogy where, for example, you invited a guest or a very good friend, your home, and you say, you can go or use the washroom, but you cannot go use our kitchen. At the beginning, they'll think, okay, I can be here in his home. It could be fun. But however, after a few days, they'll think, oh no, I don't like this because I cannot get access to the kitchen. It's very similar things that happen. For example, we said you can build a pipeline, but you cannot create those connection. They call link service. You cannot create even the table or a schema. So they find out there is a restriction there. So we have to be innovative to find out what's the next steps. So we come up with this. We separate out. As you see, this is data engineering platform, and this is data engineering self-serve platform. Very same things. You need to have Git, same tools we talk about, and there is a development standard and everything. Do you think the problem has been solved? Because we said, hey, you have your own workspace, we have our own workspace. That's fine. Good. You're nodding no. Yes, the problem is not solved. Reason is the code those BI developer working, we enable them self-serve. The code they're doing or developing or the work they're doing, eventually, that's need to push it to production, right? So we don't know, they're following the standard? Are they following, the best pattern, or we just give them the document? Are they following it? So those are the challenges that come in. So what did you do? Well, before going into, in generally any productive build in the organization, you have these 3 different environment. At least you could have more. So dev, UAT, and production. So what we did is we introduced one more, which is self-serve. So it means now we have self-serve, dev, UAT, and production. So, and we have release pipeline, we have CI/CD in place. So it means the things can move from this part is no problem because this is one team they're working, right? And this is the separate team they're working. The challenge, as long as we move these things from here, and it's all good, they sync up, we don't have any challenge. But the challenge now remaining this 2 part. Because the rest of the part, process established, it's working fine. We just push, in the release pipeline, say, okay, we are ready to move the code from dev to UAT to production after approval and so on. So what do we have to do? The very first things we had to do is code review. So whenever I'm going fast. So moving from here to there, first point is code reviews. Of course, unit test, making sure they're doing their unit test. Version control. Without having version control, again, I mentioned that before, but I cannot emphasize this enough. If you want to have self-serve data platform, this is a must. And as you see, we have you need to split that code repository. So we have 2 different repositories. One repository for self-serve, and one repository for data engineering. So we just separate it out. And then branching strategy. If you have using CI/CD, make sure your branching strategy is in a place. How can I move? What is branching strategy if you don't know? For example, when you do pull request, we get our code in one branch, and then you're going to push from one branch to another, and it merge codes to the master. You need to have those policies in place. Someone has to approve those before we actually move into one branch to another. And template for code the movement. So the reason for it is, think about this. You have the self-serve code or platform code in this repository, and this one is completely separated. It means we need to build this template. Anytime BI, that person, or actually first we started with one member, then we enable whole BI team. So they are part of whole data, self-serve data platform. It means we have a template. Anytime they're building any source of code or ETL, we use this template to move the code from self-serve to data engineer workspace. Data validation, of course, you need to have that. We all do, and make sure self-serve platform also do that. Coding standard, I mentioned already, that's need to be followed, because you'll probably find out in the organization, though you give the document, it's not always followed. Continuous learning. This is you always need to have between the 2 teams. What is going on? You need to be in sync in. Without that, it may fail. And we also do this part, means the data code you have, we are doing this part, but since this part, there is a lot of people working in the data engineering team, and that code also need to merge into self-serve, so people who work in the self-serve, they know what is there. They also get the all the code in their in their repository. Okay, the challenges with self-serve. It's all good, it's a new data platform. You need that because of the using or following the data mesh principle, or how the data is coming through a new data platform. But it has its own cost. Means you need to have the separate infrastructure. Means there is a cost. Additional hours spent for code review. I can clearly understand that. Security concern. I can give an example. We work with the HR team. HR, human resource team, we had some sensitive data, PII data. And they always ask, who is accessing your data platform? And we enable new self-serve data platform. If we tell them, hey, we're actually bringing more people, and they will have exposure to this data, they'll not be happy. So what we did is, we built a data pipeline for those PI data only running in production, getting the data in production, mask those PI data, then move it to lower environment, means EOT and dev environment. It means even though there is more people in the team, they have exposure to those data, sensitive data, but they will not see this data because those are all masked. Data governance is play a key role here. Make sure governance is placed. And training and support. Those are the challenges because you need to do this when you have the self-source platform. Okay. Of course, we learn the challenges, but it also brings all the opportunities. But before I dive into the opportunities, I'd like to touch upon why even we are here. Why you are talking about this. There is the opportunity, but why I'm going to take it? Why I'm going to take it? Because AI facilitated coding. You probably from the morning hearing about ChatGPT, AI generated code, different model. Those are there. Also, there is a low-code and no-code environment. And those two together, it goes, it's bring down to there is a lot of citizen developer in the market. I remember when I was in my early career, working in the data warehouse team and going to the DBA team, you have to just politely tell them, hey, can you please explain what the issue is, or can you please review my code? And you have to always be kind of, playing kind of down so they become happier that helping you. Those days are gone because those guys, they were probably thinking, hey, I'm the expert, I know, I'm the geek. Who are you? You don't know anything about the DBA stuff. Those days are not there. Nowadays, people are getting smarter, tools are getting smarter, and you cannot, if any friends come from data science team, BI team, and saying, ETL, data engineer, we're the best, you're going to make mess, I'll not allow it. So that will not bring any value going forward. In this, where we stand today, you need to enable those. Oh, you have a question?
Does the DE team assume all the risk in your challenges?
Oh, you mean data engineering team? So what is the question? Sorry.
Like, do they take the risk, all the risk falls on them?
Oh, well, it's kind of, it should be both way, right? So when you have the self-serve data platform, you need to have this responsibility matrix. Who is taking that risk on which part of it? I think that's a team effort you need to think about. But thank you for that question. Okay, so what are the benefits? Of course, increase agility and productivity. Better decision making, because those folks who never work in the data engineering, they have access to the data, they can do some stuff themselves, and they can make the better decision even faster. Enhance innovation. Innovation mostly happen when you add diverse people. We as a data engineer, we do same stuff again and again. Whenever we brought in those people from different areas, then innovation happened with different ideas. Resource optimizations. Again, I think last time I was in the panel, last Saturday at Microsoft Office, where people are asking whether Gen AI is emerging, do you think we're gonna lose our job? Some of them saying, yeah, probably we have to be careful. Maybe we'll lose the job. But in my mind, actually there'll be more demand. It means you'll not lose your job. Rather, since you can do faster, means a lot of data is getting in, it means you're going to build more products. So there will be more demands there. So resource optimization, when you have the self-serve data platform, means those semi-data engineer kind of a skill set, it can be applicable and you get more broader value. Of course, improve collaboration. Consider if you're working in a different team and you brought in another team, and when you understand their language, what they do, there is a more cohesive environment. Then you actually have better communication, better learning. And of course, faster time to insight, because they are not dependent on the data engineering team. They can do a lot of stuff themselves. And saving cost for the organization eventually. So all in all, as you see, having the self-serve data platform, what benefit you are getting in? You are following the best principle as a data mesh, as it started I was talking about. You're adopting that data mesh principle. One of the data mesh principles saying having a self-serve data platform is a key. And then all of the other point I mentioned here, the saving costs and productivity, I would say go for it. Start working on having self-serve data platform. Start with working with closely any team who work with the BI or data science team, and give them this, and then work together. In long run, it'll be greater benefit for your organization. Before I end, I would like to share the story. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have this self-serve data platform, closely work with Microsoft, and our story was featured in their Microsoft site, and that's the story they shared last year. That's it. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
So for your self-service strategy, what's the percentage of OMERS employees you wanted to become data-driven? Is it just like technical people within the lines of business, or anyone?
To start with, it will be semi-technical, but if we see that works, like how we're expecting, we're going to enable more people to the platform.
And those technical people in the line of business, you said they write pipelines or Power BI reports?
So there are mainly, we have taken the Power BI team at the first. It means those BI team, they're already building the Power BI dashboard. So we brought them in the data engineering team, enabled the data platform, and they started building, for example, ETL pipeline, and if they need to adjust any tables, column need to be added, they do it. So that's how we started.
But who's in charge of building the dashboards or the business?
So this is their main job, to build the dashboard. We have the data engineering team who build this ETL, right? And then, in addition to building the Power BI dashboard, sometime, for example, Power BI team probably will reach to your data engineering team a bit later stage, where they probably do the, kind of analysis at the beginning. Earlier, they are not able to do that analysis. Earlier, they had to first come to data engineering team, say, okay, can you please get those data loaded into it? And then you're going to start building the dashboard. Now they are doing it. They already know how to do this stuff. So they started building those ETL themselves. Of course, getting help from us. But we are spending minimum time. At the beginning, there's a lot of time we're spending together. So they can do some of the work themselves. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So did you get any pushback or do any change management around the requirement of like code reviews for the BI team and things like that? Because it sounds like you're asking them to have some additional skills.
Right.
So did they happily say, oh yes,
Well, actually, the things came in opposite way. They wanted to come or wanted to work in our data platform, what data engineer does. Um, since part of the data mesh principle is one is you need to have self-serve data platform. That's the one aspect of it. We wanted to leverage that data platform. We also have, this is something historically in our organization where BI team was already there and data engineering team lately built. It means BI has more budget than us and they have more people. And so we wanted to actually leverage that. Okay, you have more people, why not? So that things came from their side that they actually would like to do something. Yes. Is that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry, before I come, there's another. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just a quick question. So, with the decentralized data mesh approach, did you run into any? Thank you. With the decentralized data mesh approach, did you run into any issues where each different business unit would have their data siloed from? So essentially, you're creating silos within a massive company. Did you face any similar issues?
Yes, that's a very good question. How we do it? So we have 4 different data team in our organization. So they are closely sitting with the business. The team I lead, I work only for the corporate side, means corporate finance, HR, compliance, communication, all those things. And similarly, investment have their own data team. And eventually, what should happen? I'm saying should happen, right? So it's not there. We need to improve it. Anyone in the organization, they should able to find out what data they want. So there should be universal portal to source the data or data point at least, where they should get everything out of it. That's the greater advantage of having the data mesh. If it is not there yet, it needs to be there. And without that, you will not have that. The greater functionality of the data mesh. It's not there yet. Even we started it, but some of the companies say self-serve there. We are telling that, hey, whenever we work with corporate finance, okay, this is your data. Earlier, it is not the concept. Earlier, they were afraid, okay, are you the data owner or we are the data owner? Now we're clearly saying, hey, you are the data owner, we are only building the data products for you. So those shift is already there, but answer to your question, we're still not there. We need to work on it. Yeah. Yes.
Hi. No, you keep referring to the BI team as the Power BI developer.
Right.
In my case, the data engineers, the BI developers, and the Power BI developer, they are all part of the BI team.
Right,
They are
right.
not like
No, separate. Yeah, no, that's correct. Even in my earlier career,
yeah.
the last job I was working in Copenhagen, Denmark, they used to call it BI developer. And then even that time, there was no data engineer. They called BI engineer, a BI developer, and some people just do ETL part, and some people do, BI, sorry, the BI, like Power BI. I know, things are changing. I think many organization, they adopted this concept where you will have the BI developer team who does the Power BI, and then you have data engineering team who does ETL, and then you have data science team who does all the data science. That's actually, I see many organizations do follow, yeah.
That happened in my company.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Sorry, one question actually,
Yeah.
building on what this gentleman asked.
Sure.
How do you reconcile multiple versions of the truth? Because that's eventually going to happen.
Oh, yes. That's a bit tough question. I think every organization have that challenges, right? A single source of truth. I mean, historically, right? When the data warehouse, because this is my whole career, I never been work outside data warehouse. So earlier days, it was always people talking about the centralized data warehouse to having the single source of truth. But bigger organizations especially, they fail to deliver it. And that's the reason data mesh concept came in and became so popular. Because that single truth, it is hard to really have it. Whenever we're talking about the federated different data team, it can be only achievable when those 4 to 5 teams have centrally governed. Means you're federated. You have different teams that are working with the data, but governance should be centrally managed, and those data need to be explored by the whole organization through a portal. So they should be connected, and that's the when you can actually get or have this, single source of truth. I think organizations still behind. We all talking about the AI and everything, but those are still a challenge.
So, to ask a follow-up, do you see situations happening where, do you see situations happening right now where there might be multiple versions of the truth? And maybe to give an example, I'll use a customer as an example. So if someone says, hey, give me a report on delinquent customers, the AR and AP teams might define delinquent as greater than 60 days. Another group might define it differently. So they're taking data from a relatively centralized source and then pulling it, manipulating it, adding their own flavor to it, and then creating an answer to a question someone from the top might be asking, but it results in 2 different versions of that truth. Do you see that happening already?
Yes.
And then how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, this could be exactly same challenge we have. We're working with the HR data, and the HR data was going from Workday, if you know Workday, going from directly going from Workday to different teams, and then they're making their own hierarchy. It then became 2 different data set eventually look like, though it's built on the same source, right? So our approach is here that, no, don't give the data whoever asking, rather that should come to data platform first. And the data governance team knows about it. Means anytime people want to have the data, then if you need to build any kind of metrics on KPI, that's built at one place to have those, at least, for example, employee data, right? You don't have different version of that employee data. So that's the approach we have taken, but I know those challenges there. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. There was a question behind.
Hi. Just want to know at OMERS, in your experience, which technologies have been the most impactful to enable the self-service technology, right? I know you mentioned a lot about data mesh. Have you done any data cataloging, right? Do you have automation capabilities that you were looking at? If you can elaborate on that.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So for us, the tool-wise, we are using Azure Stack, but these things, as you see, it is agnostic to any tooling. It can be AWS, it can be Snowflake, it could be anything. As long as you have this setup, you can leverage data platform, self-serve data platform. Question about cataloging. Yes, we do have catalog, and that's maintained by our data governance team. So that's like completely separate tooling. However, we use Colibra, and that should be connected with the data platform too. So that's setup we have right now. How many? 1 minute? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So here's the thing. A lot of people are so deprived of deprived of any tooling in cloud that when you give them a simple self-serve tool, they just jump on it and start using it. But then your users are going to start to get advanced. And they're going to demand some more. So you start to build some more. And then because another mammoth custom-built SaaS, which is a huge task to maintain. So how do you foresee the future for these kind of in-house built, specialized tools?
Oh, yeah. No, thanks. I think that's, when people get any tools, and it's a kind of new toy you want to play with, and without knowing it, and you start playing with it, and it could make the environment can get messier, right? Because as you say, so the governance need to be placed at the very beginning. It means, as I mentioned in my slide, that your standard documentation means what is your standard for your development, your naming standard, your code review process, and whenever, as also if you follow that, when I mentioned, you need to have separate code repository. You need to have that DevOps in place, like CI/CD. Those are the control you need to be put in place. It should be there to make sure that, because of that self-service data platform, your main platform is not impacting. That's the way I will go. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I think we're out of time. But it was great. A pleasure talking with all of you. Thank you.